I don't know what voice to do because my voice sounds like this. Anyway, let's. Here goes nothing. The Kingdom Rush universe is looking better than ever before as we keep seeing different types of games coming out that are related to the original Kingdom Rush. Well, just one so far that is not a tower defense game, but it still counts, right? Legends of Kingdom Rush. It's a gorgeous turn-based RPG game that actually released a year ago on Apple devices, but hey, I didn't play that version of the game, so I'm gonna treat the Steam version of Legends of Kingdom Rush as a new game. How about that? And I thought writing was bad. Now I need to read what I wrote. Anyway, I'm Alex, and I'm gonna start this hopefully enjoyable review.
Ta-da!
I don't think it's news to anyone if I say that this game took inspiration from Dungeons and Dragons. However, IRONHIDE Studios did simplify it a bit, and I think it was a great decision. The success of an event can be decided by the roll of a dice, but the dice has no numerical values. You either get a star or an X. The same event could be completed if you have an item to aid you. In this case, the roll of a dice is not needed and the success is guaranteed. But the item you used will be lost in the process. However, not all characters can partake in every event. For example, a ranger can't compete in an arm wrestling tournament. Event actually, not tournament. You'll need a Sasquatch to do that for you. And the legend has it that a Sasquatch can't use a bow. Therefore, you can't use a Sasquatch in a sharpshooter event. You will need other characters like, a ranger to compete in that event.
Let's take a look at a couple of events to better understand what is he trying to say. Eh?
Traversing the thicket, we find ourselves facing a wall of moving roots that starts to surround us. We have to act quickly, or else we will be trapped between the trees and the vegetation. So you can see that we have three options. Retreat and find another route actually is not an option because we are adventurers, so we are left with two options. Use magic to cut the roots. So I have this option because I have in my team Olok, and you can see beside Olok it's a dice. If I use that, I have a 50-50% chance, actually I don't know the chances, but I have a chance to fail the event if the dice drops an X. You can also see that I have a keep them at bay option, but it's grey out because I do not have the torch. So yeah, the only option I have is to roll the dice. Well, that was a good outcome. Magic proved a wonderful shooting tool against the roots. We cut our way through safety and carried on. You know, I can't help but wonder, I might just started this review the wrong way.
Someone needs to be paying more attention. Just saying.
Yep. Well, without further ado, meet the legends that you may know from other Kingdom Rush games.
Geralt. Sir Geralt Lightseeker, mighty paladin from Rhaenyra, uses his holy powers once again to protect his lands from a recent unknown menace.
Asra Daggerfall, the famed shadow assassin who led part of vez'nan's vengeance campaign, readies herself once more to strike at the new enemies of the Dark Army.
Olok. After aiding vez'nan in his uprising, Olok embarks on his own quest to stop the unblinded cult from summoning an ancient greater evil to this dimension. Bruxa. Worried by a sudden imbalance in the forces of life and death, Bruxa decides to investigate and stop whatever may be causing it. Rexon. Hailing from a distant land, Rexon finds a Rhaenyra menaced by dark forces, prompting him to put his blades to work once again. And Bravebark. Having saved his heart tree from destruction, Brave Bark roams the lands looking for new soils, until a new fit calls him back to his duties as the last forest warden.
And you also have other troops, or should I say companions. I'm not gonna read their description, but don't let that fool you. All of them serve different roles and are pretty powerful.
Yeah, right. Not as powerful as me. I have that fluffy squirrel power.
There are 4 classes of characters to choose from. Mighty, meaning the tank, Athletic, Magic and Crafter. The main difference between Legends and Companions is that Legends have 2 extra skills to choose from, one at level 2 and one at level 3. Note that all characters can use up to 3 skills maximum during an adventure. You just have to choose which level 2 and level 3 skill to use. This is done before starting the adventure. Also, every character starts at level 1 at the beginning of any adventure, so there is no need to grind. Ranking up a character only expands the number of skills to choose from. You still can only use maximum 3 skills per adventure. Of course, some skills are better than the others, but a big chunk of them are just situational, and you'll surely do just fine with the first 3 skills that each character has. As you may know by now, the game wants you to assemble a team of 3 members, with the possibility of recruiting a 4th member after you progressed a little bit through the campaign. The adventure. Now you can mix and match characters to better suit your playstyle, but some rules apply. You only get to pick one and only one legend. The rest of your party must be composed of companions. You don't get all characters unlocked from the start, but by the time you finish the first adventure, you will get a grasp on how to unlock different playable characters. One thing to note here, like all other IRONHIDE games released on Steam, the game contains no microtransactions. That means you get to play with any character you want without spending any of your extra hard-earned money. Not counting the tutorial, there are a total of 4 adventures, each set in different locations. As I mentioned earlier, I didn't play the mobile version of this game, but I think it's safe to assume that the first 3 adventures are part of the base game and the 4th adventure is like extra content. So, as you can see, the adventure map is riddled with different vendors and events, seen and unseen. Ooh, spooky. You can usually see if in your path to the next combat there is an extra encounter. For example, here. You can clearly see that there is something there.
But sometimes you get attacked by a bunch of bad guys.
Yep, and sometimes you hold an item that triggers a special event. Or you might just have bad luck and walk straight into quicksand. And of course, there can only be so many of these events. If you keep playing long enough, you will eventually encounter the same event.
But sometimes you get attacked by a bunch of bad guys.
You said that already.
Yes, but you didn't do the thing.
The thing? What thing?
For the love of all the scrolls, combat!
If you played any of the Heroes of Might and Magic games, you will immediately feel at home with the combat in this game, as it is pretty similar. Not the same, but similar. You have a hex grid. Each character can move a set number of hex tiles per turn. You can move more than once per turn, but if you do that, you will not be able to cast certain abilities, as some abilities require that you do not move your character in order to cast that ability. You don't have a wait button like in Heroes of Might and Magic, so you can't just change the order in which you move your characters. You can either move them or choose to stand your ground. That will offer a specific bonus based on the character you play as. Some of the characters gain bonus armor until next turn. Some of them gets increased range. Pretty interesting stuff. You can keep track of whose turn it is by keeping an eye on the bar above, over here. I think that this could use a bit of tweaking. You can interact with the enemy's portraits in order to check who's who. But instead of glowing a different color or making that enemy a different color or something, you instead see a path to that enemy and the hex tile on which the enemy stands lights up a bit. This is not that bad when the enemies are far apart from each other, but when they are all next to each other, it gets harder to see which one is which. The biggest problem I encounter has to do with the accuracy of the mouse pointer and the mouse controls. The movement is pretty simple to understand. Click once, then confirm by clicking the image that pops up. Well, which click? Left click or right click? Hey, both of them. That's not game breaking, but it takes a bit of getting used to, you know? In my mind, it would have been easier for the traditional left click confirm and right click cancel. This introduces another issue. How do you cancel? Well, click anywhere else but don't confirm. A bit later, I will show you a scenario in which I made a mistake because I was rushing. But if the mouse pointer was accurate, that mistake would not have happened.
Why not show them now?
Because my sweet voice inside my head. I want to integrate that part with the boss battles, as it happened in a boss battle. Also combat related, there are two types of damage, physical and magical. You can see the details about the enemy attacks if you interact with their picture. I think this is done pretty good as it is simple and it offers you relevant info. As you may guess it, physical damage needs to get passed through the armor first, and then it will take away HP, while magical damage takes away HP regardless of how many points of armor the target has. This makes for a diverse approach to battle. You can see I'm jumping all over the place, so you'll have to excuse me, and also my camera mic, because I have a camera mic, keeps acting weird.
Who are you talking to?
Well, the audience.
What audience?
Story time. The story of the game is told in the same manner as seen in other Kingdom Rush games, through adventure intros that resembles the art style of comic books. Me likes it. The events of Legends of Kingdom Rush take part after the events of Kingdom Rush Vengeance, as we come to understand from the intro of the tutorial, when Geralt is freed by Asra. Anyway, I'm not going to spoil more of the story, as maybe some of you that are like me would like to experience the story themselves. I'm just going to end the story by saying throughout the games I've come to care about certain characters in the Kingdom Rush universe, so I think they're doing a good job with the storytelling.
Oh, so cute. When do we get to talk about, me?
I was pleasantly surprised with the difficulty, meaning that the bosses are not easy, except for the first one, Groomtuck. It's definitely not hard, but if you're not aware of the boss strength and weaknesses, you will surely fail. And sure, the decisions you took on your adventure plays a big role on how easy or hard the boss battle is gonna be. You might have all your characters at full health with upgraded damage output, at max level and with beneficial modifiers, like Invigorated, which grants you increased movement speed, plus the ability to cast those skills that require you not to move, even after you did move. Or your heroes could be wounded, which would make the boss battle a bit harder. Obviously, all the bosses have multiple phases, which is a good thing as it adds variety. So, let's talk about the first boss you encounter, Kroom Duck, which I think his sole purpose is to properly prepare you for what it is to come. In other words, he is easy.
Yeah, weak, not like me, overpowered.
Friend, you are like a third of a boss. Eugh, sorry. Anyway, the only way to lose against Drumtak is if you completely ignore the ads, meaning the normal enemies, and if you somehow stay in the AoE of his spells. Or should I say spell, as he only has one. And speaking of AoE, this is the only boss I had a hard time actually visualizing where the spell actually hits. The color is barely visible and it can easily be masked by the battle grid that covers the ground. As far as I know, there is no hotkey to temporarily remove the hex grid in order to see clearly. He puts 4 of these AoEs on the ground, each AoE affecting 7 hex tiles. So, in the heat of the battle, avoiding these zones is tricky, mainly because you can't see them clearly. Also, there is this issue with, let's just say, misclicking. As you can see here, when I use slow motion, I actually didn't click the tile that the enemy stands on. The index finger was on the tile above the enemy. However, the game said,
Chicken nuggets!
and this happened. Again, this situation could have been avoided as you have to confirm your actions, but I was confident I didn't click on the enemy, so I rushed it. And I paid for it. The outcome was still the same, I won. But if this move was a critical one, and this was my only hero alive, you can see how this could be frustrating a bit, right? On top of the adventures that have random elements each time, you get the arena, which consists of a quick play and a daily challenge. I strongly suggest playing as many adventures and quick plays as you like before venturing into the daily challenge part of the arena. Not because of the difficulty, no, because you will play with random characters and it takes a bit of effort to learn what each character does, his strengths and his weaknesses. Yeah, this arena part was short, right? Anyway, yeah. So, is this game for everyone?
Yes!
Of course not, don't be silly. There is no such thing. At least, not that I'm aware of. Can anyone jump into this game and learn the ropes?
Yes?
And he scores! Yes, anyone can do it, especially if you're a fan of Dungeons and Dragons and Heroes of Might and Magic Combat. Bottom line is, you can play each adventure numerous times and encounter a bunch of different events each time. You can use different hero combinations. You can play in the arena if that is your thing. I personally enjoy playing adventures much more than playing arena. It's eye-pleasing for those that dig this type of art style, I do, and the game runs great, no crashes or anything like that. The only negative part I see has to do with the UI, the mouse controls and the precision of the mouse cursor, and to a lesser degree the action bar, the bar at the top of the screen. I think it should do a better job on highlighting enemies when you interact with it, so you can see them clearly. So, if I had to score the game, as this is a review after all, on a scale from 1 to 10, I think this is an 8. The campaign is lengthy enough for the price tag and it has replay value. You also have the arena if you're bored. You don't have like multiplayer PvP, but that would be a near impossible task, mainly because the devs would need to balance each hero, who goes first, who goes second, not to mention the technical stuff that goes into making a multiplayer game. So, yep, I think an 8 out of 10 is where the game sits.
love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up! It's time to look at the enemy. Look in the mirror if he is no friend to me. It's not working out, maybe it's the chemistry. It's